Welcome to class. Hello and welcome to the first video on loops. Loops are going to be incredibly powerful and useful. What you see here on the screen, if you look at lines 8 and 9, is a for loop and a description of what it's going to do. On line 8, you'll see that it says for, paren, int I equals 0. So I've declared and initialized the variable I to be 0. And then it says I less than 10. And then I plus plus. This line does three things. It gives us a variable to count by. It tells us how high to count. And then it actually does some counting for us. So when we tell processing, when we tell the compiler when we say these three things in this way, it knows that we want it to do this 10 times. So it's going to start at 0, and it's going to count. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look how many things it did. It did 10 things. And I only counted to 9. Right? And notice where it says less than 10. That tells it how high to count. But look how many things it did. Right? So if I had said instead int I equals 0, I less than 2. Less than 2 goes to 1 if it's an integer, so 0, 1. If I said less than or equal to 2, 0, 1, 2, that's 3. Right? So computer programs, when we count inside them, we'll start at 0, which will make things a little confusing at first, but you'll actually get used to it pretty quickly, and then it'll be fine. Now, if we look just a little bit later on, you can see that I'm adding a fill and an ellipse. But remember that the comment on line 9 says it's going to happen 10 times. And so on line 11, when it says ellipse 30 times I, I'm actually using the variable I to tell it where to put my ellipses. And so it'll put, first at 30 times 0, there'll be an ellipse. 30 times 0 is 0. And then 30 times 1. And then 30 times 2. And then 30 times 3. And then 30 times 4. All the way up until it gets to 9. And you can see how it gets almost all the way across the screen there, but not quite. If I had put maybe more than 10 there, we would have gone further across. If we wanted to space them out evenly, I could have gotten a little creative with the multiple times I. Right? I could have done something with like width divided by the number of ellipses that I want, something like that. Okay. Now we are going to keep our we're going to keep our loops fairly simple for now. They'll get more complicated later, but what I would like for you to do is first just make something inside the code that I have here, and instead of having the ellipses go across the screen like that to the right, I want you to try and make them go down. Okay, so all you're going to need to do here is put that I basically inside the Y argument, or inside the Y location for your ellipse. But in a similar way to what I did with the X, and that will make your ellipses move downward.